Hello, East Brunswick. I wanted to spend a couple minutes today talking about one of my favorite topics, which are the arts. When I took office several years ago, one of the things that I had promised that I would make a commitment to, along with my entire team, was to enhancing the arts here in East Brunswick. And the arts, as many of you know, is something that has always been promoted here in East Brunswick, starting as early as the schools all the way through up into our senior center and programs that really permeate the entire community. But it can always be enhanced, and it really is something that we've made a giant commitment towards improving and enhancing. In that regard, one of the things that we created early on in the first term was a East Brunswick Arts Coalition. Now, this is different than the East Brunswick Arts Commission, which is part of the township. The East Brunswick Arts Coalition is an organization that is a nonprofit 501c3 recognized nonprofit that enhances and raises money for all of the arts programs in the township. The five main areas that the East Brunswick Arts Coalition is responsible for raising money for is the Playhouse 22, our Arts Commission, the Human Relations Council, the Township's Historic Society, and the Township Museum. And the purpose behind trying to raise those funds is that we never ever wanted any of the individuals or those organizations to have great programs and yet hit a stop sign because of lack of funding. And in many of these, other than the Playhouse 22, most of those other organizations are completely funded through tax dollars. And as you know, in times where we have trouble, spreading those tax dollars can be very difficult. And so being able to raise funds from outside sources became a great way in which we can continue to provide programs. That was formed a couple of years ago, and they're sponsoring many programs, and their hand is on a lot of things in the township that many of you may not really be aware of. What I do want to do is give a quick shout out to those members of the Arts Coalition, because you should know who they are. President of the Arts Coalition is Kimberly Canetta. Grew up right here in East Brunswick graduate, still living here. Kieran Cameron, also East Brunswick resident. We also have Amy Levine, C. French, Cindy Taffet, and we do have a membership from outside of East Brunswick in terms of individuals who could help provide us connections to the philanthropic community. We have Roy Tansman from South Brunswick. In addition, members from each one of the organizations that are supported sit on those committees. So the head of the theater, Playhouse 22, that's Adam Neary. The head of the Arts Commission right now, which is Kathy Spadafino, and the other organizations as well, Mark Fafara from the museum, and Howard Schmidt from the Historical Society, and Iram Shakir from the Human Relations Council. So they're automatically members on that committee. But it's open for anybody to participate, and we're always looking for individuals who may have connections to philanthropic sources. But I want to go over a little bit about some of the programs that they've already done and some of their objectives now and in the years to come. Before I move on the credit, I also want to give a shout out to both Marla Kamens, the original and first president of the organization, and Dana Winston, the original vice president of the organization, who are now doing other things for the township, but their influence and contributions are certainly recognized. One of the first projects that the Arts Coalition raised significant money for was for outdoor theater at Playhouse 22. And the first production was done the year before the pandemic, 2019, with the summer outdoor production of Footloose. And we had that going on for about 5 straight days. We had unbelievably lucky weather. We had close to 500 people showing up each one of those nights for the performances. And, you know, to be honest, it spread news about the potential for a community arts center, not only for East Brunswick, but in the entire Middlesex regional community. And we had people coming from neighboring towns and some from pretty far distances. So I think that with more investment in outdoor theater and the facility itself, we can become, a regional arts center right at the Community Arts Center. But more on that a little bit later. If you've had an opportunity to participate in some of the other programs that the Arts Coalition has contributed to, endorsed, or supported, I want to at least bring that to your attention now. Over the course of the pandemic, some of the money that the coalition raised went to the Human Relations Council, and while we were, especially during the lockdown, we had the Black Lives Matter issues that were going on nationwide. We had several series of programs that they were able to put out to the public, interviews with our police department, interviews with myself, and individuals in all aspects of the whole issue of race relations was a major topic, and funded in large part by the East Brunswick Arts Coalition money that went to the Human Relations Council. I think that most of you will recognize some of the butterflies that you've seen, the beautifully colored butterflies that are now distributed throughout different parts of the township. We had a Spread Your Wings event a couple of weeks ago at Butterfly Park, where a lot of those artists were able to display the butterflies that they each uniquely designed, and now they've been distributed throughout the township so that that can be something that people in almost any part of our community could recognize as a contribution from the Arts Coalition and our local artists. The other programs you may have had an opportunity to participate in or see included the Indie Festival, which we had this past summer, where the Arts Coalition raised money and supported a program for our local students to participate in short films. The whole area of cinematography and filmmaking was provided for our students and local students, and they had a festival, was one weekend during the summer, and awards were given out to those who had the best productions, and we are looking to continue that for years to come. Those of you who already have kids in the public school system know that we already have some programs where we can give backgrounds to our students in that area, and the library here at the township has facilities at the Makerspace for individuals who do want to tinker with the arts and in filmmaking, which is something that has drawn a lot of attention and brought a lot of people to the Indie Film Festival, way more than I would have expected. So a lot of credit then goes to the Arts Coalition for raising awareness, supporting the program, and getting the word out for people to come. One of the other programs you may have actually heard about is the Harvest Fest that we're going to be having out at the historical section of the township, which borders on the area of Sayreville and Old Bridge and Spotswood, right at the intersection of Old Bridge Turnpike and Main Street. Most individuals drive past that area and don't even recognize that it's the historical section of East Brunswick, primarily due to the fact that the sign that was there for years said that it was welcome to the historical section of Old Bridge. Well, the Arts Coalition helped raise money, used some of that towards putting together a new sign. So if you drive by there now, it says welcome to the historic section of East Brunswick, and in smaller letters it'll say the Old Bridge section, because that area of town is a nationally recognized historic region. And it dates back to our founding as a township, and even before that. We have Chestnut Cemetery not far from there, where there's people that are buried from as early as the American Revolution, the Civil War. Many of the houses in that area are built with the architecture of the 1800s, and it's been preserved. We have a museum there. We have the original library here in East Brunswick, and the train tracks that are there are actually still operational, but they date back to the founding of this township and the time in when transportation to and from large cities was primarily through railways and waterways. And East Brunswick had a prominent role in American history and the development of New York City as a as a metropolitan area. So we have a very proud history, but it gets pretty much ignored. Harvest Fest is an opportunity for everybody in town to visit, walk through the historic section, visit some of the crafts and vendors and food and music that's going to be playing at that time, have an opportunity to visit some of the stores in that location, go to the library and see some of the things that are preserved there. It's a brand new exhibit that's going to be at the museum. So I think it's an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about our history, and all brought on by efforts of the East Brunswick Arts Coalition in conjunction with the Township's Museum and the Historical Society. But one of their biggest projects, and the one that I'm the most excited about, is one that's yet to come. And that is the ultimate expansion of our Community Arts Center that sits at the corner of Dunham's and Cranberry Road. I'm sure many of you have been there for Playhouse 22 productions. You might have been there while we had our 4th of July ceremony with fireworks or East Brunswick Day. But the reality is, when that building was built many years ago, it was built on a relatively Spartan budget and was always built with the idea that when East Brunswick reached the point where we knew we were able to support a greater facility for the arts, that building was built in a way that was already primed for expansion. And one of the projects that the East Brunswick Arts Coalition has already set its sights on, along with our Department of Parks and Recreation, is the ultimate expansion of that building. Things that we would like to include in there would be a black box theater. We would like to really expand the outdoor space to have a formal outdoor theater with the proper stage and the proper lighting and the proper sound system and bathrooms that could be accessible from outdoors. And there's a work that needs to be done towards doing that. We could probably support an updated museum, vending areas for shows. So I think that sky's kind of the limit in what we can do there, and raising the money for that project is going to also fall on the backs of those individuals who are part of the East Brunswick Arts Coalition. What could you do? Well, East Brunswick, as I said, has always been a township that supports the arts. So there's a number of things that we can ask our residents to do. One is going to be to come out to the programs and to support many of the things that the Arts Coalition and each one of their representative organizations are providing for the township. Because in order to really make the case to institutional philanthropic organizations, you have to prove that you've actually have a resume of things that you're providing for the township and the surrounding community, and people are going. So the most important thing that you could do is to attend a lot of the functions that each of these organizations are putting on. Of course, it is a 501c3 nonprofit, like I mentioned earlier, so your donations are always welcome. They will go a long way. They're again, tax deductible, and go a long way towards providing these programs that we all enjoy. The Community Arts Center in general, as it expands, while it's primarily the objective is to promote the arts here in East Brunswick, but it is a regional type of facility. And when you look back at individuals who've enjoyed programs that were put on there, you'll find that there's people coming from all around Middlesex County, and especially our neighboring towns of Monroe, South Brunswick, Helmetta, Spotswood, Sayreville, Old Bridge, North Brunswick, New Brunswick. So I see it really more as a community center with a much wider spread. we're looking to try to raise those funds. We were very, very fortunate that Governor Murphy, in his budget for 2022, made the first large donation to that endeavor, and that was dedicating $1 million towards our Community Arts Center expansion in the 2022 New Jersey state budget. We're also going to be looking to try to get support from our county, which again has a history of contributing to the arts, both the State Theater and many programs in New Brunswick, Metuchen. They've contributed to a lot of programs in Edison, including the outdoor theater that they have there. They've also contributed to Woodbridge and many other towns within the county, and I think that it's opportunity here to spread that contribution here to East Brunswick for the residents that live here in the surrounding communities. The other thing that you could do is maybe if you work for a large employer that has money set aside or traditionally contributes to philanthropic art programs. Many corporations do, and we live in an area where there's lots of very big corporations. Then if you could help us make that connection, that would be really helpful to us. And of course, if you know people who are on boards of large corporations that have the capacity to make those type of contributions, please let us know who they are. If there's individuals that you know who might want to sit on our Arts Coalition to help us in the process of helping to raise those type of funds from those type of sources, again, we'd love to hear about them. But I think the take-home message is that the arts are quite alive and well here in East Brunswick. They incorporate almost everything we do when it comes to how we're going to design redevelopment, to art installations, to programs that we offer residents, to the curriculum at the school level, to the programs we offer our seniors, the unbelievable number of programs that are offered here at the library. It's immersed in everything that we do, and it's a part of what I think makes East Brunswick such a unique, interesting place to live, and what drives most people to consider East Brunswick when they think about where they want to move. We don't really ever want that to change. And as new people move in, we want them to be as excited about the arts programs as we were and have been here traditionally. So again, consider donating and contributing to the East Brunswick Arts Coalition, and come out and enjoy many of the programs that they are working really hard to provide to each and every one of us.